Zippity doo dah, zippity day. My oh my, what a wonderful Saturday, March 3rd, 2012. This is the KNKL Show, episode 33. I am your host, Kienan Lafferty, and I am very happy to be bringing you today a tutorial on how to draw hair, as well as the differences between anime and more realistic rendered hair. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about what is going on tomorrow, March 4th, Sunday, in the World of Warcraft. You may recall last week we were talking about that party. Yes, please consult the video that I will post in the link, how to create your own account for free so you can join me. As well as the video I'm going to post after this about the Ustream and the details of how to log into that. I'll actually show you it right here, just in case. So all you got to do is you're going to be playing World of Warcraft and you're going to be running this in the background. Simply log on to ustream.tv/channel/WoWDanceParty, and that's where I'll be playing the music for you guys. But moving on to the Facebook. Another plethora of amazing and beautiful women added to the Facebook. Thank you guys so much for the awesome art. And I can tell you guys have been doing your homework and putting tutorials into practice. So that really makes my day. Thank you guys. Lastly, we have the Twitter. Please follow, and I will bug you when I am filming and when the episodes go live. You can be the first to know, and that makes you special. So with all of that out of the way, we are going to be moving into our tutorial on drawing hair. Hair! Nice. I like it. Alrighty. So, I've prepared our shade mannequin for this, as well as the pink mask that we will be working with. Now, she will not have pink hair in real life. That's just silly. So, first thing you're going to do is create a mask layer, or your mask layer is here. You're going to create another layer over top and hit Create Clipping Mask. That way, we can select our real hair color, which is going to be like a saturated brown, kind of on the reddish side. And we'll just slap it in there. There we go. Step 1 complete. That was easy. Let's make sure our brush dynamics are set up properly. And now we are going to be moving on to our soft brush. Soft brushes on the actual brush and the eraser. First thing you're going to want to do is, I'm going to create another clipping mask over top of this. First thing we're going to want to do is come up with our saturated local. First thing we're going to be doing is actually working with like anime, a quick way to shade anime hair. So we're going to go saturated local and a little bit of a hue shift. So let's go up to right around there. That looks good. And now what you're going to do is, to illustrate this point, you see in a lot of anime, they'll just take a line and go like that, right? But there's a reason for that, actually. There's a reason why the light refracts off the hair in a way like that, and why it looks natural and acceptable to you. I'll actually demonstrate that right hither. Let's make another thing here. So, if you have a circle, right, like this, or I should say a sphere, rather, a globe, that has light reflecting onto it, or reflecting off of it, or reflecting onto it and then reflecting off of it. Bear in mind, the way that the light behaves once it's hitting the sphere is, again, remember when I was talking about last week in the armor and metallic objects rendering, it obeys the curves and the, like, if you were to put the polygons on this, sphere, you'll notice that the turns like this, So whenever the light hits it, it follows these curves. So if it was hitting, like if the light was positioned right, it would hit here. If it was a little bit lower, it would kind of go like that. And that's exactly what's happening here. You have this sphere that's underneath, her head, obviously, and then the light is hitting it and reflecting back to you. So it's going to be actually very, very similar to how we rendered the metallic objects, except it's just going to have a lot more fibers and extra noise thrown in at the end. But another cool way to do it is sort of take that general shape, but you don't have to just make it a line across. You can kind of come up with your own little distortion effects on it and make it kind of have a little bit more flair and style. And I'll show you how to do that too. Sometimes I've seen animes do it like this too. They'll kind of go down and up like that, and then kind of have a little bit of like something going on here, and then it'll go down and up again, you know? So that's kind of a cool play off of that. And you can see it still kind of follows that line, except it's just kind of a little bit more of an interesting shape now. But for this, I'm just going to be demonstrating just the normal line, and then you can make changes as you see fit. So anyway, starting with the saturated local. Yummy. We'll start with that. Throw that in. Let's do our reflected light, or our ambient light, which is going to be gray. So I'm going to desaturate it and lighten it just a tiny bit. Go right about there. Let's hue shift it a tiny bit. Let's hit the top of the hair with that, as well as down here a little bit. And also, you think about the planes of this hair coming down, right? See, like that. There's also a bump right here, right? So this is going to catch light, but this also is going to catch light. So let's draw another line through there. So you've got your basic colors here. Saturated local. Now let's start pushing it into the desaturated lights. So hue shift a little bit more to yellow and go from here, and we're going up and to the left, which is lightening and desaturating at the same time. Let's go to right about there. And depending on how small we make this, it will affect the texture of the hair and the glossiness. So if we make it really like big, it'll still kind of appear more matte in a way. Whereas if we make it really tiny, it'll appear very, very shiny. So I'm going to do that. And you can kind of accent it a little bit on the edges there. Yeah, it's looking good. So you can see we're starting to get the basics of the color down. Now what we are going to do is begin painting. So let's go to our, oh, whoops, wrong thing. Let's go to our hard brush on both. And this is where the fun begins. Let's zoom in here. Now remember, when I was talking in the metal tutorial on pushing and pulling, that's basically what you're going to be doing. You're going to be alt-clicking your color in the center. You're going to begin to push the lights out. Especially like where these lines are, like this line of the hair, you're really going to want to have like a stronger line there. So like have a strong line going through there, strong line through there, strong line there, there, and there. See how they kind of all follow, you know, those hairlines to kind of just accent those. So going through, you know, throwing in a little bit here, a little there. Then kind of grab this as well and use it to begin shaping the hairs as they go up, or like the planes of the hair, I guess, or the layers of the hair, rather. Yes, the layers. And you'll notice how as you push these colors up further into the darkness, and you can also pull the darkness down into it too. You'll notice that these parts appear to be catching light from here. If the light is shining this way, right? Oh man. You get what I'm saying. And let me draw a nice light. There we go. And that is amazing. Here, it'll be a Pixar light. There we go. And he's shining his light this way. Right? So everything is being picked up from this angle, right? Everything that is light on this side is going to register as coming up, and anything that is darkened will be measured as going down or away, like that. See how the colors start to shape and create the hair? Yes! Sorry, I just got a text message. That freaked me out. Yes. So now you can see the texture starting to take shape. And also, remember, you've got another light source to work with up here, too. So you can push that down into the hair as well. And kind of pull the blacks up into that. Or not the blacks. The darks. The darker colors. Pushing them. Pushing them. And you can even bring some of the grays as far as down into here. In fact, it would be really cool if you push them all the way to this side. All the way over here. And then add in a little bit of like an accent color. So you can do gray, but then push it to like, do like a really desaturated blue gray. That could be pretty cool. Let's throw that in there, see what that does. Oops. Yeah, see? So really the key is subtlety. After you have your lights down, once you have your colors down, it's subtlety. Subtle little bits of accents and color swaps can be awesome. Because I mean, you think about it, it's like if you can blend blue, like a really desaturated blue, with a brown, like that is really, really awesome. And your eye is going to see that, it's going to contrast, and it's going to like it a lot. It's going to like it very much. So please, think of your eyeballs. Make them happy. Don't make them sad. I want even more. I want even more accent. I'm going to push this into purples. More. There you go. And again, I'm blending with the Alt tool, or the eyedropper. And just kind of seeing what kind of gradations that gives us. See? So you can see how that is beginning to shape our hair, and it's like you're working with clay. It's really like you're sculpting. Once you know where your light is coming from, aka the left side of the screen, it shines on every part that's facing it, right? And then every part that's facing away from it is going to change and then begin to pick up the ambient light, which is the grayish purple type thing going on. And then that creates your awesome composition. And then you can go back in later on with like a dark red or whatever, and you can start to, you can just add in little, tiny little accents, more accents, and what's the word? Texture. That's what it is. So this is now beginning to move from anime to a more realistic anime look. But I will show you how to take it to a full-on realistic look. Yes. Let's do the same thing down here really quick. Just as a quick recap on what we learned. So, we've got the light shining from the left side, right? Generally speaking. So, you're going to take the whites first, or the lights, the highlight. Kind of push and pull that a little bit. Then grab the local color underneath it. Push that around. Pull this down. And now you want to think of wherever the shape is turning away from the light is going to be a lot of darkness. So this is where you are allowed to begin adding the texture to the hair. Like the little fibers and stuff that come down that change the, you know, the direction of the hair. This is where it starts to become a little bit more believable. And then you can go in with your deep shadows, like say around the ear. You can draw those in too. You can do more deep shadows over here too. Not too deep though. That's still picking up light. Little here, little there. It's looking good. One more cast shadow over here. That's another big thing. A good friend of mine told me the difference between cartoon and a more realistic rendered look is literally reflected light and cast shadows. And really, he couldn't have hit the nail on the head any better than that. The difference between cartoon and realism is really just showing that you know what is happening with that light, where it's bouncing off of, and what kind of shadows it's casting when it hits certain shapes. So we have the basics of the hair done. Now let us color our lines and add a little bit more texture to it to take it to a more refined, realistic look. So we're going to go to our line layer here. We're going to lock them transparent pixels. And let's do like a dark brown for our lines. Select your soft brush and begin painting those black lines away. It's going to affect a little bit of the character underneath it too, but that's okay. Actually, let's just paint the whole thing like that. See, already we've softened the lines. Now what I'm going to start doing is grabbing like the colors that are close to the lines, like for instance this gray, and I'm going to lightly begin painting the edges of it to the point where the color and the line begin to sort of blend together. Blending the line! Grabbing that brown, grabbing this brown. Softening. Softening them lines. There you go. Soften that there. And I'll put some darks back into the line work just so you can tell the difference. So now you can see by contrast how once you start painting the lines away, they start to become softer and they start to feel more like they are one with the color. And that's my secret to getting rid of the lines. I just do that. And then I go into the little stage I like to call the OP stage. OP! Or the overpainting stage. The overpowered stage. So, back to your hard brush. Moving in. Moving in. Now, what you're going to do is to take this to a final rendered look. Basically, all it is just adding noise. It's not that hard. Mostly with the edges. Like, see how this has like a perfect like roundness to it? What you're going to want to do is just grab that color with your Alt button and just start grabbing it and just kind of like flicking it. Grab that. Just start adding noise to the outside. You know, because all hairs don't like run perfectly the same way. You know, you could even do this. You could grab this gray here and just start kind of randomly throwing colors in, or I mean hairs in that just kind of follow a similar path to where, you know, the rest of the hair is going. Same thing here. Like you can grab this lighter color, like this yellowish, and just start throwing it in. You know, in the general area. Like you don't want to throw it in up here. Like, well, you can throw in a couple, like that maybe, but not too many. So it'll start to look weird. In fact, that's too many. You see how I'm doing that? I'm just grabbing it, throwing it in. Grabbing another color, throwing it in. And it's going to start to look a little bit messy, maybe, but you can always go back in and tame it afterwards. So like this, grabbing some of that. Think of it as you're laying down, this is the way I like to think of it. You're laying down the strands first, like start with a darker color, like this, right? And then grab a lighter color and go back in and put little lights on those strands, you know? That'll help it to look a lot more believable. Like you can take a dark color and throw it right over top of all of these colors, right? As long as you go back in afterwards and throw their individual lights on them. That'll start to add the texture and it'll show that those individual strands are sticking out from the rest of it. Same thing here, I'll show you. Throw in, you know, like a strand here. And then go back in with the light and show that it has its own properties. And that makes it believable. Same thing here. hair doesn't round off like that. So let me show you how to correct that. It could be cut like that, but it still wouldn't be perfect like that. It would require a lot of product to get it to look like that. So again, creating the shape. Creating the shape like that. Then going back in and throwing a little bit of the light on it. To show, hey, yes, I exist. I'm real. Believe in me. Believe in me. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Again, breaking up the shapes. Breaking up the cartoon shapes. I'm sorry, but this relationship cannot go on. We must break up. More of that through there. You see, it's all really, really fun once you do it this way. Throwing down those darks. Then the lights. So we believe in them. And then, like I said, say there's a little bit too much in one area, you can go back and erase it. Because we are working on the overpainting layer, and you can make as many as you want. So let's go back in, tame a little bit of this, tame a little of that. Make these like long strands. If you make a bunch of like little things sticking off, that's gonna look kind of like razor edged, like they just grabbed a big chunk and just went, and it's gonna look really weird. So yeah, try to like have these longer strands, especially on girls. Longer strands coming down. You can have some short strands like up here, but try to stray away from just making the edges, you know, sticking out like that. Okay, so the final thing I would say is what you're going to want to do is just add more. I'd say let's add some more darks and lights. So let's desaturate, go to yellow, all the way up here. Let's add in like a really hot specular. Really, really hot specular. So let's go like through here. And think about, again, remember which hairs are going to be catching this. The edge of this shape right here would be catching a lot of this light. So let's hit that. Hit it! The edge of this hair would be catching some, and this one. A little of this, and once you get to this point, like kind of let it die off as it goes back here. Especially if the light is coming from this side. And hot speculars. Hot speculars. That thing's getting really hot. Whoops. Oops. And when you put all of those elements together, you start to see the texture of the hair and the glossiness of it. Look, I'm even grabbing just this gray, which is our ambient light, and throwing it into the hair as well. And this will kind of bring it more into the environment. Like say if she was in a big green environment with a bunch of trees and stuff, like the reflected light or the ambient light would be green, you know, because it would be refracting through all the leaves and hitting her head after that. Throwing that in, throw a little bit in there. And again, like a couple of these random hairs, you know, just adding noise, adding noise. And also think of this. When you throw in the light strands, like this is just an example, but say you throw in like these really, really hot white strands, right? The best way to make those believable is, again, you start with white and you throw a dark underneath it. And what that does is it shows that it's actually casting a shadow. And remember, that is how you make things look realistic. Reflected light and cast shadows. I almost forgot. The things that make things look real are realistic looking things. Yes. Tutorial completed. No. But seriously, I think that is it. Yes. So now you can see what the OP layer does to the originals. See? This is like the really rounded off, kind of cool, rendered, anime looking hair. And then all it is to take it to the next level is take those same colors and then begin to add noise on top of it. And it's just all about, you know, doing your saturated shadows, saturated local, desaturated lights, and then desaturated shadows. And just having that good spectrum. Remember, if you need to have a reminder of that, check out the How to Blend Colors in Photoshop. I think it's episode 25. It's the one with Bunny Girl Ribbon. So check that one out if you want some more help, as well as my theory on mixing and blending colors. So, with that, I believe we will call this daily a success. So yes, once again, remember to create your own account to the World of Warcraft party and join me tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. server on Ysera. Let's see. Oh, question of the week. I want you to post down in the comments section how many of you plan on attending, as well as the kind of music that you like. Like, you could just put the name of the song, or you can put the link to the YouTube video, so that way I can have lots of cool music to play, not only tomorrow, but if enough of you actually show up to this thing, I think we should make a regular meeting out of it. Maybe not always in World of Warcraft, but we could do it in other games too. So yes, I want to see how many of you are going and what kind of music you like in the comments. So with that, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. I'm Kienan Lafferty, and I will see you guys next week. Or tomorrow, actually. I'll see you guys tomorrow.